everybody, I'm Corinne Blackstone and welcome to my craft room. I'm so happy to have you here today. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make a really fun keepsake box. So this is one of those photo storage boxes that you get from Hobby Lobby, Joann, which may be closed by now, and like Michael's, or you can find them on Amazon. I'll link this one below because it's the cheapest at Hobby Lobby. And all I'm going to do to this is add a fun decal and some designs on the inside. And you can use this to store pictures, special memories, little mementos from the years of your child's life. And it's just really organized that way and in a nice, safe environment. I'm going to show you how to make the design on the front and how to design all the little labels for inside as well. So without further ado, let's get started. But before we do, make sure that you're subscribed here on YouTube. That way you don't miss out on any of the fun, crafty content we have coming. For the keepsake box, we are going to upload a design and add to it to create our own, jazzed up thing. So what I'm going to do is go to upload, and I'm going to upload my image, and I'm going to use a arrow circular frame. We're going to make sure we grab the SVG and drag and drop that over into Design Space. Now you'll notice it has 3 designs, and they do look blurry, but don't worry, they're not. This is just a Design Space something. I'm going to upload these into my Cricut Design Space, and you'll notice that they are grouped. So if you take this little arrow and click down, you'll see that you have the 3 different groupings. So you can choose whichever one you want to use. I think I want to use the one with the 3 arrows. That is this one right here. So in order to find that one, I can just kind of hide the other designs that I don't want to use if I want to do it that way. I could also delete them if I want to, but I think for this, I'll just hide them. Now this has a ton of pieces under it, you can see. I'm not going to change this in any way, so I'm going to go to combine and I'm going to unite them. That way they're all going to cut as one single piece. Now I can work with this design. Now I like to make a template for the size of the box that we are going to be using. So our box is about 12 by 14 inches. So what I'm going to do is open up the shapes option here. I'm just going to use this square and I'm going to unlock the scale, which I do by just clicking the little lock button in between. Now this is definitely wider than it is tall. So it's 14 wide and 12 tall. Now I am going to zoom out a little bit since this is kind of a big project, and I'm going to right click on this and I'm going to send this to the back. I'm also going to change the color of this to like the light gray just so we can see it a little bit better. Now I don't want this to take up a whole ton of room. It doesn't need to be huge. You kind of do it however you want, whatever size you want, but I want it to be relatively large, but it doesn't have to be like so big that it takes up everything. So I want it to be maybe a little under like 10 inches wide, I think. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Now we're just using the square as a template just to help us kind of size things, see what we like, and see how we like the look. Now I am going to put his name in the middle of this. So his name is Archer James, and I'm going to put Archer, and then the second line will be James. For this design, you can use any text that you want, any font. It doesn't matter. You do what you want to do. If it is more of a girly look, if it's more masculine, whatever you want it to look like. Now, I'm kind of trying to match the vibe of their nursery, but this will be something that he'll keep with him for the rest of his life. This is going to be his little keepsake box. So I don't want it to be like super young feeling. So I'm going to go into my system fonts, and there's a couple ways I could do this. I could sit here and scroll through the Cricut fonts, which I don't love doing because it takes forever. Or what we can do is go to my favorite website. We're here at wordmark.it, and I absolutely love this website. So I'm going to put Archer James as my font here in this little box. Click the arrow, and it's going to bring up all of our fonts so that we can see them a little bit better together and see what we want to do for the middle of our design. Now, one thing I really love about this website is I can pick my fonts and take a look at them and compare them to other fonts. So I do really like this. I think it might be a little too fancy for what I want, but I'm going to choose it so I can kind of compare it against some other fonts. So as I scroll, I can choose any font that really stands out to me as a font that I think I want to look at and consider for the look of my box. So I'm going to scroll through, and each font I find that I think I like, I can simply click on and it will let me look at them in the end. And I'll show you that as soon as I've gone through. So let me scroll through, find some of the fonts that I like. And then once we have those chosen, I'll show you how you can look at them all together. Once I've gone through and chosen the fonts that I want, I can click up here to filter selected fonts. Now you'll see that I'm a little all over the place with this because I'm just not sure quite the look that I am going for. But what I can do from here is kind of look at the different fonts and compare them. So like this one, I just don't love the J, and I'm just going to get rid of it. It's not what I'm going for. And I think that this one just isn't quite it either. So I can really pare down what I'm looking at. Now, a lot of times I prefer to be able to look at them inside my design. So I either write down my fonts or I just keep this open so that I can kind of see what I'm looking at. So currently I have Amalfi Coast, Darling Garden, which I love that one. That one's a really pretty font. It's so nice. We have Fries and Shakes. Then we have the Lovely Mood Display, which is a really nice one. We have Mostly Sunshine, Nice Day, and then finally ZP Typegraph. So I've written those down, and I'm going to head back over to Design Space. Over in Cricut Design Space, what you'll want to do is select your text, and then you can go over into your fonts. In your system fonts, you can search for each of those fonts. So I can search for Amalfi Coast, and I can go ahead and select it. Now, I like to be able to really look at them, really debate if I like them, and see what, like, I think this is so cute. Like, this really might be it. I really do like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to duplicate my font, and I'm going to choose my next font in my list, which was the Darling Garden one, and I'm going to select that. Then I duplicate it again, and this way I can look at all of the fonts that I want to see with the like outline or the frame, so to speak. So I'm going to go ahead and select all these fonts, and then we can debate on which one we actually want to use. I'd run 1,000 miles if I could run with you. Once I have all of these fonts, it's going to look a little nuts, and this one is huge. So let me go ahead and size that one down a little bit just so that it, you know, fits on the screen. And I can look at all of my different fonts in my little design and just see which one truly is the vibe that I'm going for. So I don't think that this is it. Now that I see this like in between everything, I don't like it. So I can go ahead and delete it. If it's one I don't like, I delete it automatically. Same with like this Archer James one here. This was the Nice Day. It's not it. Gonna get rid of it. Now I'm going to look at this one. Oh, I like that one a lot. I'd have to size it down a little bit, and I will letter space or line space these, but I like that one, so I'm going to hold on to that one for a minute. I don't think this one quite fits my vibe. I think it's a little too bold, so I'm going to get rid of it. And then I'm going to take a look at this one, and again, just doesn't quite fit the vibes. So from here, we're going to kind of play around. This one doesn't do it for me. So it's kind of between this one, which would obviously be easier to read, or this really pretty script one. So what I want to do from here is I'm going to kind of look at them in more of the way I would have them set up. So I am going to line space these down a lot. This one is not like very tight. So if you don't want to play with line spacing, there is another option. If you go to advanced and you ungroup this to lines, you're going to be able to move this a lot easier. Sometimes the line spacing just takes way too long. Then what I do is select both of my texts and I go ahead and attach them. And that way I can kind of size it, move it around as I need to. Now I do really like that. I think it's a little fancy, but I don't hate that. I think that is kind of pretty. So let me move this guy over to the side and let's take a look at this one instead. Now again, they're a little further apart than I would like, so I'm going to go ahead and ungroup that to lines, and I'm going to put them a little closer together, select both items and attach them, and then we can kind of play around with their sizing and just see what we like. I'm not 100% sure, but sometimes it helps if you change it to the same color as the design so that it's a little easier to envision. So I do like that, but I still really do like this one, and I think it takes up a little more of the circle. I do think it's really fun. It's different, but I think maybe a little too girly. So let's go ahead. We're going to go with this one. Now again, do whatever makes you happy. Choose your design. So what I want to do really quick is I'm going to grab the font or the text, and I want to grab this outline. I'm going to go to a line and I'm going to center them because I do want that to be nice and centered. And then I'm going to attach them. That way everything's all set up, ready to go, and I can cut this out. Now, this is the top of our box. Now, you can add anything you want to it if you want to add like keepsake box, birth dates, whatever. But I don't have a birth date yet on this, and I kind of want it to be a little more plain because Mom can do something where she just keeps photos in it, but she can also do things like little memories. What I think that if I had one of these, what I would do is do photos and little notes to my child, little like milestone moments, maybe your first trip to the beach, and write a little note about it and put it in the box. So I think there's a lot of ways to do this, but I think that's how I would do it. So now that I've got this part done, I'm going to move this off to the side and we're going to reuse our square because we have all those little boxes inside and there are 16 of those boxes. So kind of depending on when you want to gift this to your child, my thought would be an 18th birthday. We will need to combine a couple of ages, but that's okay. It's very easy to do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to size this down so that it's our box size, and our boxes are 6 inches wide by 4 inches tall. So they're a little bit smaller, which means I'm going to zoom in so we can see better. Now with this design, we can do, different years on the different boxes. If like baby's going to be born in 2025, you can do it by like 2025, 2026, 2027. But I think what I would do is I'm going to do ages. So I'm going to do it where I'm going to have this text, and I'm going to use the same font just because I think it'll look nicer. So I'm going to go from like 0 to 1 year on one box. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to size this to fit. Now, again, I could use the little circle thing if I wanted to. If I wanted to, again, use this and have that on each of the boxes. But I think I'd like to keep them a little bit more plain and simple. So we're going to do one box of 0 to 1 year. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this. And then I'm going to change this one. And for this one, we're going to go from 2 to 3. And then we should be able to have the rest of the boxes be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. That gives us 15, so I might need to combine one more. I have to always think about this. So this one's going to be like 2 and 3 year old. So maybe what we do is we do an and sign. You can kind of play with this however you want. Do whatever you want. So like 2 to 3, you could also take off the year if you wanted to. Like I said, have fun with it. I'm going to try to kind of figure out how I want this to look. I think I'm going to go with like 2 to 3 years because that's like, he'll be 2 years old and 3 years old. And then we can do the next one for 4 to 5. I want to duplicate this again because again, I want to just use the same font. So then this one we'll do for 4 to 5. And that should give us, and that'll give us 13 boxes left. So we just have to combine a couple of years, but you combine whichever years you want to. It's totally up to you. So again, I'm just going to go ahead, duplicate, and keep going. So this one will actually be, and maybe we change it to like, I might change this because now that I'm thinking about it, so I want to go like 6. This one will be for the 6 years old. So I think I want to add the word old to the bottom. So like this one, I would add just old, like 0 to 1 year old, and then 2 to 3 years old. So I think I want to put old at the bottom just because I think it'll round it out and make more sense. Okay, I'm happy with that. That's better. Okay, so now I'm just going to go ahead and do the rest of these for the rest of the ages. And that'll give us 13 boxes left. So we just have to combine a couple of years, but you combine whichever years you want to. It's totally up to you. So again, I'm just going to go ahead, duplicate, and keep going. So this one will actually be, and maybe we change it to like, I might change this because now that I'm thinking about it, so I want to go like 6. This one will be for the 6 years old. So I think I want to add the word old to the bottom. So like this one, I would add just old, like 0 to 1 year old, and then 2 to 3 years old. So I think I want to put old at the bottom just because I think it'll round it out and make more sense. Okay, I'm happy with that. That's better. Okay, so now I'm just gonna go ahead and do the rest of these for the rest of the ages.
And from what I have heard, you do the same thing too. I wanna say forever, we could be good together.
Now that I have all of those done, which took very little time, I'm gonna go ahead and I can delete the square because we don't wanna cut that. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and move all of these guys just kind of over and out of the way. Now, I'm going to cut everything on black vinyl, but these are actually in like a lighter gray. So if I want to do that, all I got to do, color sync it. And the easiest way is just to pull this one down into all of these and just make everything the same color. That way it'll all cut on the same vinyl. Now, I'm going to go ahead and save my design. I'm going to save it as Keepsake for Archer. Oops, that's not how you spell that. And that way I know what it is and what I'm doing with it. Now we're going to be cutting this on permanent vinyl. Permanent vinyl is the perfect choice for this. You don't want to use HTV because we're doing this on plastic. So I'm going to go ahead and click make, and it's going to load this. Now we're going to have a couple of mats for this because these are, there's so many words. So you're definitely going to have one mat that'll have the circle because that takes up quite a bit of space. And then this one, we're going to have 2 mats for the different ages. And that's totally fine. I'm not worried about like wasting a little bit of like vinyl and space. It's fine. But one thing I will say is these are sitting so stinking close together. If you want to, and I would just pull them over. Even though you're going to like waste a little bit, it's going to be easier when you go to weed them and cut them apart to have a little bit more space in between all of your words. That way you're just not worried about like accidentally cutting some vinyl. But we've got our little top piece that's going to go on the top of your box, and then each of these is going to go on to the sides of your little carrier pieces. So without further ado, let's head over to the machine and get ready to cut these out. We'll weed them and I'll show you how to apply them. We're going to be cutting permanent vinyl for this keepsake box. So I'm just going to load my one sheet on first. And this sheet will be the top piece because that's the part that's going to cut first. And then we'll cut the other 2, and then I'll show you how we weave them, and then we can get everything applied.
Better to late than never. You know we could do better. So take a chance and run with me. Everywhere we go, we turn to paradise. All I know is that I need you in my life. Let me show you how it feels to roll the dice. You know you want it. Just say the word. Everywhere we go, we turn to paradise. All I know is that I need you in my life. Let me show you how it feels to roll the dice. You know you want it. Just say the word. Oh. Whatever we do it just for fun. You only get so many trips around the sun.
We have our photo box holder here and our design. I'll scooch that over to the side for just a moment because we need to put our transfer tape on. I'm using a medium tack transfer tape. I'll link this one below. This is my favorite tape, and I'm gonna go ahead and pull this out so that it's big enough to cover our design. And then I just take and put my design face down. Now I have some scrap on the side, which we'll cut off because we can use that for another project or for the words that need to go on to the different boxes. So don't throw it away, and we'll actually reuse this piece of transfer tape as well because you can absolutely reuse transfer tape. So don't waste if you don't have to. The next thing I need to do is to burnish this down onto my transfer tape. So I'm just going to be doing that by using this little squeegee. And you can see that I'm kind of pressing down, and then I want to make sure I get the middle because that's obviously where the name is. And then you're going to peel off the backing of your vinyl. Now you'll notice that I do this at kind of a sharp angle by folding it over. Now I do have some stuff that isn't sticking great, but that's what doing this at that angle helps, because if you got something like right here that's not sticking down, just fold it back down, press it down with your finger, and then it'll stick. So I'm just gonna go around, and you can see that I'm keeping it at that sharp angle, and I'm just watching as I'm going around to make sure that everything is staying down onto the transfer tape. This did cut a little deep in a couple of spots, which is causing a little bit of the lifting. I cut this with that Maker 3, and I just have yet to get that to cut perfectly. No matter how many times I cut with it, it's still just giving me a lot of issues. So I don't really use it a lot. I still prefer my Maker. But again, we're just gonna keep pressing these down. So let me get this off, and then I'll show you how we apply it to the box. Once you have that all off, you can bring your box. And now I did pre-wipe this down with alcohol earlier so that it could dry. And then I'm gonna take my design and lay it onto my box. But I'm gonna show you a really quick little trick that works super well, that if you wanna line something up. So I'm gonna grab a piece of parchment paper from my drawer here. And what's super helpful about this is that your vinyl isn't going to stick to this. So you're gonna keep this under your design, and I'm just gonna put a little tail out, and then I'm gonna be able to line this up on the box where I want it without getting it messed up. And that's gonna give me some time to kind of center it where I want it. Now I'm using my hands to kind of help me center this because it's a little difficult to see exactly where center is. So I just use my hands to kind of guide where I want this to be. Now I did make this a little bit too big, so the arrows are gonna be up a little bit on the edge of the box, but that's okay. I'm not really that concerned about it. It's fine. It's gonna be good enough. I'll just get that angled. All right, I'm happy with where it's sitting, I think. If it's not perfect, it's close enough. So then I'm gonna press this little tail down that I left, and then I'm gonna pull all of that out, and then just kind of run my hand over this first, just to kind of get it where I want it, make sure it's stuck down. It actually looks pretty good in my opinion. It could have maybe gone up a little bit more, but I'd rather it sit a little bit lower. So again, I'm gonna get my squeegee out. Now remember, I said that these little arrows were gonna be over this little divot. So I wanna make sure to press this arrow really into that divot, and I'm gonna have to do that down here as well. So I wanna get in there with my squeegee and really press that in, since I did make this just a touch too big, but again, easy to fix that mistake. And then I'm just gonna make sure that I really press this down. All right, I think that's pretty good. So now from here, you're gonna remove your transfer tape from the vinyl. And you're gonna do it in the same way you took the backing off, where you're just gonna kind of keep it at that sharp angle. Now it should stick really well. It does make a lot of noise, but it should stick to this plastic beautifully. Look at that, so good. So well stuck down. So now we need to get out a couple of the little boxes, and I'm just gonna take a couple out. And from here, we can put on the wording. Now remember, I said we were gonna reuse this transfer tape because you can absolutely just use it again. Why waste it if you don't have to? So I'm gonna go ahead and trim this off, and then we can stick it to the next box, which we'll put it onto the box. And you're gonna do exactly the same thing that you did for your larger decal. You're gonna burnish this down and simply peel that backing off. Now don't come at me, some of my Y's are different. I think I accidentally have some of them as capital letters and some of them as lowercase. I don't care, it's fine. Not the end of the world, nobody is perfect. This little 9 does not want to stay down, there we go. And you're gonna peel this off carefully. And for something small like this, I'm not gonna get the parchment paper involved. I can get it pretty even without it. And there you go. And then you just go ahead and burnish this down. Now these boxes are not super sturdy, so just be a little bit gentle when you're pressing down. But the vinyl should stick to these absolutely beautifully. As you can see, gorgeous. So I'm gonna go ahead, do the rest of these really quickly. I'm gonna keep using the same transfer tape until it's not sticky anymore because I'm not gonna waste my transfer tape if I don't have to. So I'm gonna go ahead, keep going until this one's not sticky, and then I'll get another piece off of that original hunk, and I'll just keep going.
Chance and run with me. Everywhere we go, we turn to paradise. All I know is that I need you in my life. Let me show you how it feels to roll the dice. You know you want it. Just say the word. Everywhere we go, we turn to.
And just like that, we have our finished box. Now there's lots of ways to use this. You don't have to make this for just a baby or anything. This could be for lots of different like life events. This could just be a way for you to keep things kind of organized. I love these little photo boxes. They're really fun. You can really decorate them in so many ways and use them for so many things. Again, I'll link them down below, but so far the cheapest place I found was Hobby Lobby. It was only $14.99. These also come with boxes with multiple colors, so if you want something a little more colorful, you can definitely find those as well. Now, if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments down below. I'll also link some of the fonts that I mentioned in this tutorial. That way you can find them if that's something you're interested in. And I will also link all the vinyl and everything else that I use just to make it easy for you if you want to make one of your own. These are really fun, so definitely have fun with them and do whatever you want. That's the beauty with crafting. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and as always, happy crafting.